I never imagined I would hear such words from my own son. After all, this house had been my home for more than 3 decades, a place where laughter echoed through the halls, where birthday candles were blown out, where scraped knees were bandaged, and where dreams were nurtured. But that morning, as Daniel stood before me with his wife, Myra, something in their eyes felt cold, almost rehearsed. It started with a casual visit, or so I thought. They arrived earlier than usual, carrying folders and wearing expressions far too serious for a relaxed family gathering. I had just finished making tea when Daniel cleared his throat and said, "Mom, we need to talk about the house." I set the teapot down slowly. "What about it?" Myra stepped forward, confidence dripping from her voice. "We've talked to a lawyer. Since Daniel is your only child and you're not getting any younger, it makes sense for us to take ownership now. It'll save everyone trouble later." I blinked, unsure I'd heard correctly. Take ownership now. Daniel nodded, avoiding my eyes. "Yes, Mom, it's practical, and well, we think it's time." I felt a chill creep down my spine. Time for what? "For us to take over," Myra said. "The house belongs to us now." The words hit me like a slap. I stared at the two people who should have been my greatest comfort, yet in that moment, they felt like strangers. They believed I would simply hand over my home because they had decided it was convenient. I pulled out a chair and sat down. "This house was bought with your father," I reminded them softly. "Brick by brick, payment by payment, it holds our history." Myra shrugged. "And we'll keep the history, but we need the deed transferred. Daniel and I plan to renovate, maybe build something more modern. With you moving into a small apartment, you won't have to worry about maintenance." Ah, there it was, the real plan. They wanted me out. I folded my hands. "And where exactly do you expect me to live?" Daniel finally met my gaze, but his eyes held none of the warmth I remembered. "There are great senior apartments near the clinic. You'll have everything you need." The betrayal tasted bitter on my tongue. I thought of the years I'd worked double shifts, the nights I spent sewing clothes to afford school trips, the countless sacrifices made quietly, lovingly. And now they were pushing me aside like an old piece of furniture. "I see," I whispered. For a moment, silence hung between us. They must have thought I was surrendering. I could almost feel their shoulders relaxing. Then I stood up. "I will not be transferring anything," I said calmly. "Not today, not ever." Myra's mouth fell open. "But you don't understand." "I understand perfectly," I said. "You came into my home with papers, demands, and expectations. You didn't come with concern. You came with greed." Daniel flushed angrily. "Mom, this is for your own good." "No," I said, voice firm. "This is for your convenience." They exchanged nervous glances. Perhaps they had expected me to be meek, but they had forgotten that the woman who raised a family alone after losing her husband was not weak. "Since we are being honest," I continued, "let me tell you both something you didn't know." I walked to my drawer and took out a thick envelope, not with deeds but with something else. I had kept it hidden for years out of caution, but today felt like the right day. "I sold the house last month." Their jaws dropped in unison. Daniel stuttered, "You what? You sold our house?" "No," I corrected gently. "My house, and it was entirely my choice. The buyer finalized everything last week, and before you panic, no, I'm not moving to a senior apartment." I pulled out the letter inside the envelope. "I bought a smaller cottage by the lake. It's peaceful, quiet, and entirely mine." Myra's face paled. "But you didn't tell us." I raised an eyebrow. "Why would I? Every time I tried to talk about my plans, you changed the subject. You weren't interested in what I wanted, only in what you expected to inherit." Daniel stepped forward, desperation rising in his voice. "Mom, we were just trying to secure our future. And in doing so, you forgot that I'm still here, alive, capable, and deserving of respect." He fell silent. "The new owners will move in next month," I continued. I had planned to invite you to help me pack, but now, I sighed, I think it's best I handle things on my own. Myra's eyes narrowed. Did you do this just to spite us? I shook my head. No, I did this because life is short, and I'm tired of living for everyone except myself. They didn't expect that answer. They didn't expect strength. They only expected surrender. What will we do? Daniel muttered under his breath, the reality settling in. That, I said gently, is something you'll have to figure out together. For the first time in a long while, I felt free. The years of guilt, obligation, and silent sacrifice seemed to lift from my shoulders. I loved my son, of course I did, but love did not mean letting myself be pushed aside. As they stood there stunned, I poured myself a cup of tea. You're welcome to stay for tea, I offered politely. But if you're here for the house, that conversation is over. They didn't stay. They walked out quietly, their confidence shattered, their entitlement dissolved. When the door closed behind them, I allowed myself a small, sad smile. Maybe one day they would understand. Maybe they would come back not for property, but for family. Until then, I had a new chapter waiting for me, by the lake, where peace didn't require permission. And for the first time, the future felt like it truly belonged to me.